then I had this thought to myself where I'm like, well, anti-trans violence is real, right? Like, should they not be arming themselves to protect the trans community from violent crimes, right? I was like, yeah, this is like a real potential thing. And then I had, unfortunately, a very naughty follow-up thought, which is, wait a second, but is it? I should probably just run the numbers to check. All right. So there's a lot of groups that check how many trans and non-binary people are killed violently every year. So I go to an AI. I'll sort of walk you through my revelation on this because it gets progressively worse as it gets deeper. And I was like, okay, calculate the rates that the orgs are saying number of trans people died versus the gen pop of violent murders. Okay. And this is trans and non-binary people. So, a wide net here. All right. To calculate the rates, I'll use the midpoint of 31 transgender and gender expansive people killed in the US for 2024 due to fatal violence based on the 30 to 32 range from advocacy tracking. For the transgender population, you have around 1.6% of the US transgender and non-binary of the US population. So that's approximately 340.1 million people in 2024, which equates to 5.44 million transgender individuals. Now, the transgender homicide rate. That would mean that the transgender homicide rate is around 0.57 per 100,000 trans individuals. The average American homicide rate is 5.
What?
Per
Wait.
100,000 individuals. That means that the transgender community and non-binary community has a homicide rate that is 11.4% the average American.
That is wild.
Hold on. I was like, okay, this can't be right. I must be under doing the numbers here, right? Like,
right, because I mean,
like,
people who are trans end up going into sex work. They have a lot of mental issues. Like, I would expect them. I mean, even I and you too, I imagine, would expect a higher.
I expected a higher. So then I decided to go, you know what? I'm going to go through every major trans reporting organization. So these are these organizations that are reporting this. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So we got the Human Rights Campaign, the HRC. They had a reported deaths of 32 in 2024. So that would mean that the trans homicide rate was 0.59, which was the number we got above. So about 8.5x lower than the Human Rights Campaign we get for 2023. Maybe 2024 was a fluke. They have 36. That puts them at 0.66, so 13.2% of the gen pop, which is about 7.6x lower. Okay, then we have Every Town for Gun Safety. They had 33. That puts them at 0.61, 12.2% of the gen pop, 8.2x lower. Then you have Statistica, which had 29, 0.53. This is for 2024, which put them at 10.6% of the gen pop, or about 9.4x lower. So you have about 10 times the rate of being killed if you're not trans, violently. But then it gets worse. It gets so much worse. Because I started to read the fine print in these statistics as they were being reported.
Okay.
The big one that jumped out at me was across reports, Black trans women comprise around 50% of US victims. Okay?
Among trans homicide victims.
Around trans people who are killed violently. This isn't just homicide. This is killed in crimes. This is killed in bad drug trades.
Okay, so if you're trans,
homicide.
The Black male to female trans group is getting
around
the most heat.
Of the ones who are killed violently. Okay. Now, do you understand why that's a big problem for these numbers?
No, I don't.
Okay, so off the top of your head, how big do you think is the Black trans woman portion of the entire trans community?
Pretty freaking small.
4.3%.
Oh, wow. Oh.
So what does that mean if you're not a trans Black woman? Your homicide rate is in the trans community?
Oh, dear.
Astoundingly low. You might as well be wearing an invincibility shield wherever you go. You might be the most privileged group in the entire United States in regarding violence. Gosh. We will get into those numbers in just a second. But I want to go over some other uncomfortable questions that I immediately had here. I was like, oh, well, how much is it just because, all of these trans people who have the guns were like, we want to fight BLM and everything like that. How much of trans violence is just Black people? A much more conservative cultural group. 78.6% of the trans Black women who were killed by Black people. which is actually lower than Gen Pop. If you're a black person and you're going to be violently murdered, there is a 90% chance that a black person will do it to you. So yeah, not awesome.
None of this looks good. None of this looks good.
Okay, so I had it recalculate some of the numbers here. If you do the Human Rights Campaign number, you're now looking at a number that is 15.6x lower than the Gen Pop. If you do the Statistica number, you're now looking at a number that is 19.2x lower than the Gen Pop.
Good Lord. No.
Yeah, that was not. I love it when I run into like statistics and I'm just like, I did not expect that at all. But I guess it makes sense when you consider that even though they earn less, they are in very sort of privileged community environments, and that can help protect them from violence. They're much more likely to live in group houses. They're much more likely to be constantly surrounded by other individuals, which may put them in a safer position than your average American. That can be my only guess.
Yeah, I am trying to work out in my head what is so protective about this.
Be a whole other episode. Why are they so? Why is
the
violence
trans
so low?
invincibility shield explained?
But now we're going to go into